Hi guys, it's album review time. We've got Tremonti, The End Will Show Us How. So this album came out yesterday, January the 10th. It's the 6th studio album from this American thrash post-grunge metal band. Bit hard to describe, but I'm going to get into the music itself in a little while. Marching in Time came out in 2021. Absolutely loved that album. Of course, Tremonti spawns from Mark Tremonti. It's his band, a member of Alter Bridge, obviously, Creed. I suppose Mark Tremonti, throughout his, not so much now, I suppose, but has been very underrated guitarist, vocalist, and songwriter. And I think over time, people have started to realise the brilliance of Mark Tremonti. I know I have for a while, but I think, he's had some really good accolades. Voted the best guitar solo for Blackbird in Guitar Magazine. I think it was quite a few years ago now. So people do, people in that world do understand what a great guitarist Mark Tremonti is. But like I said, he's not just a great guitarist. This album proves guitarist, vocalist, songwriter, everything. It's just top notch. Amazing musician. And of course the band are no slouches either, man. He's got, Mark does the guitar and vocals. You've got Eric Friedman on the rhythm guitar and keys. A great, this is a really heavy band. So, and Eric Friedman just does a brilliant job with the rhythm guitar parts on this, as he always does. An amazing guitarist in his own right. Ryan Bennett on the drums. This is the second album with Ryan Bennett in. I love his drumming, actually. I mean, a lot of people go on about the old drummer, and especially when Marching in Time came out. Man, I think Ryan Bennett is just amazing. And together with Tanner Keegan, on the bass, the rhythm section is just it's just pounding. I just love the rhythm section in this band. It's very tight, and there's lots going on as far as rhythm, time changes. There's some slight odd time signatures throughout this album as well, which I'll get onto. Not a lot, it's not a prog rock album, by the way, but there's a lot going on, and these guys, the whole band, are amazing. I know sometimes when a band takes the name of, one of the members in it, some members can get, not even talked about. Everyone in this band is just amazing. So what does this album give us compared to other Tremonti albums? Well, I think over the last couple of albums, musically, they have changed, progressed for me. I mean, All I Was came out, the first album, in 2012. And from that, and them few albums, I think the difference came sort of, in my opinion, there was a change with it, a dying machine, and then going forward. Not a massive change, but I think, with the first album, All I Was, I think it was a full-on thrash album, near enough, with a couple of like ballads and slower songs, but it was more thrash metal with slight sort of post-grunge elements, I suppose. But now it's sort of almost switched, and this album has more of that sort of post-grunge elements with some thrash. That's, in my opinion, it's sort of the balance has gone that way. And when I say post-grunge, I mean, don't let viewers of this channel, don't let that put you off, because, I mean, I am, as you can see, an 80s kid, so I'm just, massively, that is my music. But there's a lot more to music than 80s, so... And Alter Bridge have been a massive part of my musical journey, if you like. And Tremonti's even extended that even further. And, well, like I said, it sort of switched a little bit, but the grunge elements are the best of grunge, if you know what I mean. I wasn't a massive fan of everything grunge, by the way, in the early 90s. But, I mean, I would say, especially guitar effects and stuff like that, this almost has like a Soundgarden vibe running through it. Almost Super Unknown sort of vibe, and definitely an Alice in Chains vibe to me. But I always saw Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. I mean, some people don't like this grunge tag anyway. It was just early 90s metal, if you like. And especially Alice in Chains was a metal band, as far as I'm concerned. So more variation, I think, now on the last couple of albums than there ever has been on a Tremonti album. More, which makes it more interesting, of course, more depth. This is dark, this album. I've got to say, it's a very dark sounding album. Maybe not lyrically all the time, but musically, very dark. I've only listened to this album twice. I love it. I absolutely love it. And Marching in Time, it's similar to Marching in Time. When I first heard Marching in Time, I thought, what a great album. But that I ended up absolutely loving that album. And outstanding as I listened to it more. And that's the feels I get with this. I've listened to it a couple of times, I'm blown away, but I'm thinking, you know, there's a lot to take in. There's a lot to digest, the hooks and melodies. And I think I feel the same way as I did when I listened to Marching in Time, first of all. And that grew to be one of my favourite Tremonti albums. There's loads of textures, atmosphere, intricate play, epic tracks and epic musical passages. Still very heavy. Don't let, you know, me talking about veering away from the thrash element put anyone off. If that's what Tremonti, you know, if that's what you like. There's loads of heaviness to be found on this album. And I think, you know, when an album is layered like this and there's lots of different elements, I think when the heavy stuff comes in, it sounds even heavier because you've got that light and shade, if you like. You know, there's a lot of great tracks. There's 12 tracks on this album, so it's quite a long album. But the variation across the album, it never feels like it drags, you know. I mean, I've always said that great albums are usually like 10, 11 tracks at the most. This has 12 and there's some, you know, 5.5, 6 minute tracks here. I never felt like, oh my God, get on with it or anything like that. This is very in and out sounding because of the variation of these tracks. It's just brilliant, man. I can't say whether it's the best album from Tremonti. I've got like an attachment, if you like, to All I Was, I would say, because of I think the pure difference you got with the album when, you know, Alter Bridge were at their top of their game, I think. And then that came along and I was like, man, this is heavy. And it was like almost like a shock, if you like, about how cool it was. And then Marching in Time is very close second to me. You know, I love that album, and I think this could be up there with those brilliant albums. It's absolutely fantastic. So as always, I talk about my favourite tracks on this album. There's plenty of them. Let's do this. So we kick off the album with a single, The Mother, the Earth and I. Oh, man. Surprising to be an opener, in my opinion. Sort of medium-paced song. There's a very short build-up. The track just hits like a ton of bricks though once it gets going. It's amazing. It has that epic feel I spoke about, that almost post-grunge feel, with slightly sort of distorted guitars running through it. And you know, I've mentioned Soundgarden. For me, that's what I can hear, some influence from Soundgarden, especially with the guitar work. Especially for me, Super Unknown. Dark, epic, a brilliant start to the album. One More Time is the next track I want to talk about. Another single. The opening riff is just thrashy and akin to sort of the earlier albums, I would say. Vocals have a real sort of clarity and power. I think Mark Tremonti's vocals, man, are just amazing now. The chorus is massive as well. No matter how heavy Tremonti get, you can just always know there's going to be a soaring and really melodic chorus, and that's no different here. The bridge to the solo as well will just fit on an Alter Bridge album. I mean, you're going to get elements of these bands that Mark plays with as well, and you can hear some Alter Bridge throughout this song as well. Just Too Much is another single. It was the lead single, actually. And what an excellent riff through this song, man. It's like a mix between like Alice in Chains and Down on that guitar riff. I just love it. A slight odd time signature running through the verses, and it's a brilliant chorus, man, that has that riff I was talking about, that sort of Alice in Chains style riff running through it. Songwriting, man, it's just such high quality with this band. I think it's the perfect lead single choice because it was so instant for me. It was such a catchy song, and that's the best songs really to get everyone's attention. And then I want to talk about Nows. This is a dark and heavy medium-paced track, sort of filled with atmosphere, menacing sound to it, this song. It's such a riff-heavy track as well, with sort of squealing pinch harmonics dotted throughout this song. Typical Tremonti, I would say. Just, that's only a good thing, isn't it? Then I want to talk about It's Not Over. The pace slows right down for this one. This is where the band excels for me. I was told by a musician I interviewed that slow songs, or ballads if you like, are the hardest to write. Tremonti just executes them perfectly. Mark's vocals are just outstanding, man. Sort of effortlessly powers up in the brilliant chorus. Emotional, dark, an outstanding song. The End Will Show Us How is the next track I want to talk about. Obviously the title track and a single, quite a few singles released off this album. This really showcases the album, man. It's such a great song, one of the best of Tremonti's discography in my opinion. The song builds and builds. It's probably sort of a bit too dark and heavy, I suppose, to be a ballad. It's teetering, but it's really emotional and has more feels than you could ever wish for. The next track I want to talk about is I'll Take My Chances. Man, this song is heavy. We again go back to that sort of riff heavy feel of the first few Tremonti albums, I would say. Thrashy riffs are just dotted all around this track. But what makes this thrash so special, you know, when Tremonti hits it, is again a massive chorus, which you don't often find in thrash metal. It's just brilliant. Next up, I want to talk about The Bottom. I see, maybe, you know, this might be a deeper track. It's obviously not a single yet. It might have been released as a single now, I don't know. But the potential for me to be a favourite from the album. I can just feel like the addictive potential of this song. It has those sort of post-grunge feels, but it just hits with dynamic riffs that hit so hard, man. The chorus is one of the best on the album as well. And that's saying something. This album is just full up with great soaring choruses. Next up, I want to talk about Now That I've Made It. Oh man, what a fucking song as well. It has that sort of pace of the Mother Earth and I, the title track, and the title track, and again the sort of teeters on the ballad territory, I would say. It's an amazing song, emotional and atmospheric. It's just so well written, and really sort of showcases the reason Tremonti are miles ahead of many artists in this genre. And then I want to talk about the closing track, All the Wicked Things. This is, I think it's the longest track, just over 6 minutes long. It's brilliant. Love this, man. It's just so different from anything else on the album as well. It has like some real classic sort of metal vibes as well, with almost like classic metal guitar parts, like twin lead parts almost. There's a heavy part after the second chorus and before the solo. It's so fucking crushing, that part. There's two solos, just amazing solos on this song. Such a great closing track. So Tremonti, The End Will Show Us How, a brilliant, brilliant addition to the already brilliant discography of this band. Tremonti fans, let me know if you've heard it. What do you think of it? How do you class it at the moment? It's sort of too early to tell, probably, against all the other albums. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you soon.